Hi, my name is Stephen Thane. I serve in the Idaho State Legislature, and welcome to Straight Talk with Thane. What I'm introducing is a 4-part series on Reclaim America. Hope you enjoy it.
We're going to talk today about some of America's problems, which are very well known, but put a little bit different twist on them. We all know, or a lot of people know, that 58% of the federal budget is needed to fund entitlements. We also know that 40 cents of every dollar currently being spent is borrowed, that the family is in disarray, the dollar is losing value, and America is now the largest debtor nation in the world. So there's some areas of needed reform in order to solve these problems. We need to control federal spending, which will stabilize the currency. We need to grow the private sector of the economy and return the family to its rightful place as a nurturing institution and re-enthrone private charity. So let's talk about controlling federal spending. Since 58% of all federal spending is entitlements, and 40 cents of every dollar spent by the federal government is borrowed, that means the budget cannot be balanced without entitlement reform. So regardless of what presidential candidates talk about, the real issue about balancing the budget is what are we going to do about entitlements. So if we're going to change entitlements or reform them, we need to know what the nature of entitlements are. What do they do and what do they provide? They provide food, housing, medical care, education, retirement, and child care, amongst other things. So interestingly enough, when we compare what entitlements do to what the families do, we find that they do the exact same things: food, housing, medical care, education, retirement, and child care. Entitlements compete with the family and replace it. They create dysfunctional families by driving out the father figure, and they harm functional families by removing resources through high tax rates. Now, if entitlements had accomplished good results, then having expensive entitlements wouldn't be as big a problem. But what have the outcomes of entitlements really been? First, they've increased the unwed pregnancy rate from 4% to about 39%. They've destroyed inner city black families. They've allowed for the growth of government, created the highest incarceration rate in the world, caused budget deficits to bloom, increased drug usage, and created a class of citizens dependent upon government and unwilling to act on their own. So what we have is families versus entitlements. Interestingly, families are self-sustaining and self-funding. Families create productive tax-paying citizens, and children of two-parent families experience less childhood poverty. Children in married two-parent families experience much less abuse. And entitlement programs, in comparison, are very expensive to administer. If all families were functional, just imagine if all families were functional families, poverty would be greatly reduced, tax revenues would greatly increase, entitlement spending would become unnecessary, childhood abuse would be greatly reduced, and the size of government could also be reduced. The key to growing government, for those that think that government is the end all, is to replace the family with government social services. And that is where most of the growth in government spending has come in the last 100 years. So the choice is obvious. We can continue to invest in failed entitlement programs that are expensive and create more dysfunctional families than they help. What we need to do is invest in and create more functional families. We need many more functional families. And who would oppose having more functional families? Seems like everybody would be in favor of that if it could be done. They will identify themselves by ridiculing this presentation and trying to make fun of those that even want to attempt the effort. Functional families will solve America's problems. Functional families would reduce the need for entitlements. Less entitlement spending would reduce the state and federal budgets. Smaller federal and state budgets would lead to smaller deficits. Smaller deficits would stabilize the currency. And fewer individuals and families receiving entitlements would increase production, increase tax revenues, and lead to greater national prosperity for everyone. So how is this to be done? Well, we're going to go into more detail in the Reclaim American series, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. See you next time.